Caitlyn Clark showed the world why Cheryl Reeve made a huge mistake leaving her off of the Olympic team.
Clark.
Caitlyn and the Indiana Fever have been on a roll recently. Their last 4 wins have been against teams with winning records. And it was no different when they traveled up north to take on the Minnesota Lynx. However, it wasn't just about getting the win. Caitlyn also had revenge on her mind, as it was Lynx coach Cheryl Reeve who left her off the Team USA Olympic team. But Caitlyn struggled in the first 3 quarters of the game. Her shot wasn't falling. However, all great players have short-term memory. She truly is a threat in every facet of the game, which is why she was such a winner. Even when her shot isn't falling, she can play make and get her teammates involved or grab boards and control the tempo of the game. She isn't your typical one-dimensional basketball player. When the fourth quarter started, she turned things around. Caitlyn tallied 17 points, with 10 of her points coming in the final quarter. She also had 6 assists and 3 rebounds. When Caitlyn secured the ball on the opening tip, it was pretty evident that the Minnesota crowd was pro-Caitlyn. That must have angered Reeve and her Lynx team. The Fever opened a 2019 first quarter lead before the game went into halftime tied at 38. Minnesota then took control in the third quarter as Caitlyn struggled from the field. She had 7 points through 3 quarters as the Lynx opened a 60-53 lead before the final quarter. But the fourth quarter belonged to the Fever, who outscored the Lynx 28-14 in the final 10 minutes. Caitlyn opened the fourth with a 3-pointer, then gave the Fever a 67-65 lead with a driving layup with under 7 minutes remaining. One move had fans in awe when she made Minnesota's Bridget Carleton look silly with a sweet crossover before going in for an easy layup. And add that to her already growing highlight reel, which is full of unbelievable passes, logo threes, and amazing crossovers. The Fever took the lead for good at 73-71 on a Boston layup off a Clark assist with 2:54 remaining. The win was the 8th in the last 12 games for the Fever, who have bounced back from a 3-10 start to an 11-14 record to work their way into the playoff mix. The Lynx, meanwhile, fell to 16-8, a half game behind the Las Vegas Aces for first place in the Western Conference. The scary thing is that Caitlyn is only getting started. It took her a little while to adjust to the WNBA and the amount of attention she was getting, but ever since the slow start, Caitlyn and the Fever have been on a roll. But what made this win even sweeter was how Coach Cheryl Reeve reacted. Before the game started, she was asked about the anticipated influx of Fever fans.
But as a coach of the home team, there's going to be a lot of people cheering for that other side.
I don't get 2 shits.
How about 1?
Not even 1 shit.
Now you have to remember, it was Reeve who left Caitlyn off of the Olympic team. And when you take a deeper dive into the history between Reeve and Caitlyn, you start to see how Reeve can be holding a grudge against the new superstar. The topic of Clark entering the league has been polarizing. Caitlyn has received plenty of hate and snide comments from other players and coaches. However, Reeve's thoughts on Clark have dated back to before the WNBA season began. Although Reeve said that she was happy to see Caitlyn come into the league because she gives the business side of things a big boost, there seemed to be a hint of jealousy in her tone. A few weeks later, on May 3rd, Reeve took to X to promote an upcoming Lynx preseason game. At the same time, she voiced her displeasure as she called out the lack of broadcasting availability for games that don't include star rookies, with the use of hashtags such as #12teams and #the W is more than one player. Clearly, she had something against Caitlyn. Later, the Olympic roster was released and Caitlyn did not make the cut, which drew criticism and questions as to Reeve's potential part in Clark's roster snub. Reeve said that the decision to leave her off of the team was rather contentious, but it ultimately came down to experience and standard procedure. Caitlyn wasn't at training camp because she was playing March Madness, and didn't play particularly well during the first few weeks of the WNBA season. Rookies rarely make the team even when they do participate in all of the pre-selection process. Caitlyn being left off of the women's basketball Olympic team confused the entire basketball world. Michael Jordan and the Dream Team famously used the Olympics to make basketball a global game. and many believe that the women's organization is messing up by not including the face of women's basketball. Reeve said she was excited to have Caitlyn come to the WNBA because it's good for business, but then made an extremely boneheaded business decision by leaving her off of the squad. Sometimes you have to take your feelings out of it and do what's right. Caitlyn representing America in the Olympics is what's right, but now she'll have to wait another 4 years to do so. But in the meantime, she did get her sweet revenge. Even Reeve had to give it up to the new face of the league. When Reeve was asked about the crowd during her post-game press conference, she admitted that the reason there was a sellout crowd was because of Caitlyn Clark. Duh.
Everybody knows that the reason why our teams around the league are having sellouts are because Caitlyn Clark and the Indiana Fever are coming to town.
However, she then went out of her way to take the credit back by also praising Angel Reese.
Angel Reese has impacted their attendance at the Chicago games, I suspect on the road as well. So what the league can do is be ready to capitalize on the moments. But it's much like when we saw Bird and Magic come in the league, right?
It's like she can't simply praise Caitlyn, she has to say something else to take away some shine from Caitlyn's accomplishments. Attempting to give Angel as much credit as Caitlyn, even though it is clear that Caitlyn is in a league of her own. The only game that Clark wasn't involved in for the top viewed matchups was the Minnesota Lynx versus the New York Liberty in late May. 12 out of the 13 new viewership records this season have involved Caitlyn and the Indiana Fever. Caitlyn's regular season debut against the Connecticut Sun on May 14, 2024 was the most watched WNBA game since 2002 and the most watched ever on ESPN2 or any cable network. On May 18th, her game against the New York Liberty set the league's ABC viewership record with 1.71 million viewers. And the following week, Clark's game set WNBA viewership marks on ESPN, ION, and NBA TV. That is the Caitlyn Clark effect. She is truly remarkable. It seems as if every time she steps foot on the court, she breaks another record. The way she is playmaking, she could truly go down as one of the best playmakers in WNBA history. And who knows, she may even nab the league's assist record by the time that she calls it quits. Caitlyn had 20 points, 13 assists, 6 boards, a pair of blocks, and a steal against the Mercury. She also made history by becoming the first rookie to record 400 points, 150 assists, and 100 rebounds in a season. Clark is second in the WNBA in assists per game with 7.8 and trails just Connecticut's Alyssa Thomas, who dishes 7.9 per game. And with just 2 games left before the league's Olympic break, Caitlyn averaged 12.5 assists per contest in the month of July. With her 13 assists against Mercury, Caitlyn stays on pace to have the highest assists per game average in a single month in WNBA history. So no wonder she is considered a generational talent. Not only has she been setting new records, but she was named to the Team WNBA All-Star team and received the most fan votes of any player in the WNBA. She definitely has the support of the masses, which makes her Olympic snub look even worse. With every game, Caitlyn proves to be an all-time great who deserved a spot on the Olympic team, not only to make the game more popular worldwide, but also to develop relationships with some of the best players in the world. Olympic squads are often where the younger players get valuable information from vets. It's almost as if Reeve didn't want her to get even better. But no matter her intentions, there is no stopping Caitlyn Clark. She continues to shine and break records despite everything that is going on around her. At the same time, she continues to prove her haters like Reeve wrong. This has almost become a trend as each time Caitlyn plays, it is against someone who took shots at her online. But in person, Caitlyn always gets the last laugh.